It's the biggest infrastructure project in Australia's history, but the National Broadband Network is being dogged by claims that it's too costly, and Australian firms are being frozen out of construction work. In a moment, I'll have our interview with NBN Co's Chief Executive Mike Quigley. But first, this report from Neil Woolridge.
The dream is to provide world-class high-speed broadband to all Australians. The reality for the NBN so far, though, has been entrenched political warfare and rumblings of discontent from some quarters of business.
The absence of competition, which has a proven track record for delivering better prices, better services over the last 50 years, is obviously absent from the NBN model.
Michael Sparksman is Chief Executive of Open Networks, which provides broadband and television connections to homes and businesses. He argues several firms like Open Networks can make high-speed internet connections at a much cheaper cost than the NBN is currently doing.
There are competing business models and technologies, new technologies, that compete with the fibre to the home architecture that the NBN proposes, and they are more cost-effective for both greenfield and brownfields.
Open Networks estimates that NBN Co is connecting greenfield sites at around $3,000 per dwelling, whereas private firms claim to be able to deliver it for under $1,000. With the NBN planning to connect 2 million greenfield sites, that's a potential additional cost of around $4 billion. And in existing apartment buildings, the cost difference is around $4,000 per home, again close to $4 billion in total. Michael Sparksman argues a fundamental flaw is that NBN is a monopoly and there are competing technologies like VDSL2 which aren't being considered.
And VDSL2 uses the existing copper that is already in the ground or in the buildings, and so it's quicker to deploy, it's far cheaper to deploy than fibre to the premises, and is a completely viable alternative.
The Australian-based satellite provider Newsat has a similar grievance and also says the NBN process should be aimed at giving Australian companies a chance at providing services.
There's an old adage that no one ever got fired for buying IBM or Microsoft. We do this for a living. And so we were disappointed that we weren't consulted. We thought that we deserved to be consulted. We are the owners of what are regarded in the world as two of the very best spaceports.
NBN Co is spending $2 billion to build and launch its own satellites, but Newsat estimates the NBN could have saved several $100 million if it had piggybacked a ride on its satellites.
And it just would have been a much easier exercise, and it would have been a cheaper exercise, and it would have been supporting an Australian initiative. And, you know, we can do it just as well as anyone.
Michael Sparksman says high-speed broadband could have been deployed within 4 years if the NBN had instead gone with the emerging VDSL technology. But even if that goal was achieved, the debate over whether the NBN was heading down the right path might still have been just as heated.